salvation conveys the narrative necessity of reality. You see, when one exists and then has a choice about how to start to model what's going on ultimately, in a way, that's where you should begin. And the way to perhaps look at it is not trying to explain the forms and their causal efficacy first and foremost. No. The proper way to get a hint at what reality is ultimately about is by looking at how we experience it automatically. And ultimately, we experience it as a drama of an existential character, which is inevitably narrative. And this urge to narration, which is in a sense the way time contextualizes itself, that's what a story is a way time contextualizes itself to understand. This has an ultimacy. If you really think that that's what reality is about. And therefore, salvation is a kind of dawning awareness that what's really going on is ultimately a grand drama about you, because you're consciousness. And you're participating in a certain kind of consciousness game, and therefore you're allowed to take yourself extremely seriously, but only by taking yourself fictionally to a certain extent. That's the only way you can really take yourself seriously, because it means not taking yourself serious at all, except as the thing itself, which is experiencing drama towards a climactic narrative for my being and for who I am. And salvation then is so beyond proving by science or not, or proving empirically. Salvation is an intuition about what the ultimate nature of things is in terms of how the system is organized informationally, and how these compartmentalized souls that are generated by a life are dealt with by the system, ultimately. And the system is radically archetypal, narrative, perfect. It's God, with all the implications that implies. And suddenly your whole life is recontextualized, such that any attachment to libidinizing the world as a thing to participate in for your own excessive enjoyment is ridiculous, because you realize the whole game of existence is a transformation of the will into love, and that's what we call salvation. And that's what it is. Really. The way we experience reality is a clue to what it is. What do we see first? We don't see concepts of causal amphitheaters. No, what we see first is existential relations between persons, the I-thou, the baby and the mother. And the whole world emerges around archetypes that we call our family. And we start to make sense of the world through them, ultimately through larger and larger spheres of the other, into adulthood. And then we get confused and we start worrying about what about the material and how it behaves, and look at all this cool stuff we can make. And yes, amazing, wonderful, but it's still all rooted in our perception of each other. Because that's actually how consciousness forms understanding around persons, around other images of God. Man, is made in the image of God. And it is the image of God that grounds the very conceptual structure of heaven. It's the ultimate source of meaning, the human form, because it's what self-consciousness is when it emerges from the perfect natural order. And so humanness is really at the heart of being. Humanness is at the heart of understanding itself. And that's why Christianity dares to encode the secrets of reality in these basic archetypal interpersonal structures and participations in being. There's a kind of tendency against abstraction in Christianity that I think is healthy. In the sense it wants you to participate by looking at being itself, looking at your experiences of your relations to people, your family, how your consciousness grew, and that's what's encoded in being. And all the relations are personal relations, the Virgin Mother to Christ, the interpersonal relations of his friends. The whole thing is encoded with people in Christianity. All the saints are people. Because Christianity is the most existentialist of religions. That's why it is rooted in the truths of existence itself for self-consciousness, and how self-consciousness emerges, and what happens to it, and its journey. And it makes that more primary than any abstraction that you could possibly come up with, explaining how the world works. Christianity admits the mystery at the heart of the world and then solves it through Christ, because love solves the mystery, because love is the mystery. The dynamics of being should be felt from within in a radically existential way, first and foremost. That lets you put yourself at a distance and you can start to see what's going on a little bit. Christian existentialism is beyond a philosophy even. It's a poetry of existence if you participate in it. Because once you see what Christianity kind of is, you see how it's radically participatory in a narrative way than almost any other religion in the world. Christianity invites you to participate in the narrative of your salvation. There are these dynamic archetypal visions in Christianity. It's meant to be that way because that's how glorious the truth is. And it encodes at its very center that the root of it all is love. That's the core. That's all that can be even understood by consciousness itself ultimately. It's just love. Is it me? Is it it? Is it you? Is it I? It's love. She's love. We are love. And whatever model you want to put on top of that, go ahead. But you're really just living in a daydream of love. And the only way to experience it is to find it within you, because it's a projection from within toward what is without. And then that can reflect off you and the loop can grow. But you have to find it within yourself. That's the wellspring. I just give love. Doesn't even matter how I'm feeling, I just give love. That's it.